Hey guys, Big Boy Ken here, also known as the Cringe King, also known as Did You Drop That? And today, we're looking at one of the many magazines featuring Alita. This one is from Empire, January 2019 issue. And on the cover it says Alita Battle Angel. Robert Rodriguez and James Cameron joined forces for a revolutionary cyber epic 20 years in the making. And let's open it up to the table of contents. Alita's on page 92. Very unfortunate, it's 99. And let's get to it. Before we get to page 92, let's look at the 2-page ad for Alita. If I can find it, that is. There's a lot of stuff that I don't care about here. Okay, there's James Cameron. It's right before that. Okay. Here's a nice 2-page ad for Alita Battle Angel. In cinemas February 6th. That's the I think that's the European release date. In the US it's the 14th. And in China it was the 22nd. Here's some pages about James Cameron. And one of the pictures, Rosa talking to James Cameron on the set of Alita. And let's skip right to page 92. Okay, it's taken 20 years, 2 A-list directors and brand new tech to bring cyborg epic Alita Battle Angel to the screen. Empire goes inside James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez's quest to show you sights you've never seen. It began just like the horror movie Ringu, with a Japanese videotape. So the videotape in question is the anime adaptation, the 2-episode OVA of Gunmu. So here it says, handed by one friend to another, with no idea of the consequences that will arise. It was sometime in the late 90s, and director buddies Guillermo del Toro and James Cameron, each recovering from a grueling shoot, Mimic, I assume that's Guillermo del Toro's movie, and Titanic, respectively, were meeting up for one of their regular geek out sessions. It was customary for them to bring along things they thought the other might dig: comic books, sci-fi novels, movies. On this occasion, Del Toro, or as Cameron called him, El Gordo, aka the Fat Man, had in his satchel a VHS cassette, an import from the Far East. Cameron, or as Del Toro called him, Jaimito, aka Little Jim. Oh, Jaimito? Is that Spanish? Okay. Hadn't heard of it, but he took it home, popped it in his player, and hit play. Then, just like in the horror movie Ringu, an otherworldly female form popped out of the screen at him. Okay, that's a little bit creepy, isn't it? I know some of you guys are not very, but somewhat sexualizing Alita, which I don't have any problems with. Some people do, but hey, you do you, man. The character was a young cyborg named Alita, or Gali if you read the Japanese version manga. Actually, I watched the Japanese dub last weekend of the OVA. I guess I'll talk about it next time. Anyway, blank of memory, bionic of limbs, deadly in combat. Wandering the surface of a ravaged Earth in search of answers, Cameron watched the whole thing. We wound it and watched it again. Battle Angel Alita had a new fan. Okay, so I guess this is why the movie is very much of the anime, the movie adaptation of the anime rather than the manga. So I guess Del Toro introduced him to the OVA, not the manga. In fact, it had a champion. What he had seen was animated, a 2D adaptation of a cyberpunk manga series by Yukito Kishiro. Almost immediately, Cameron started thinking about what could be were. Okay, that's a little bit weird wording there. Started thinking about what could be were he to make it in live action. He called Del Toro and asked, "Are you gonna go after this?" Del Toro replied, "No, Jaimito. You like it, you do it." Okay, I guess that explains why Del Toro didn't direct the movie. Because since Del Toro introduced it to Cameron, and Cameron, he doesn't have time for that. So it's funny he gave it to Robert instead of Del Toro. But anyway. And so began years of obsession, even as Cameron grappled with the enormous project done as Project 880, and finally released as Avatar. He began to map out the world of Battle Angel Alita, or Alita Battle Angel, as James Cameron very insisted, because he had ideas for the sequels, the naming of the sequels. But anyway, in far more detail than Kishiro ever had. I did a shit ton of notes, the director understates, because the books evolved over time. Whenever he had a new idea, Kishiro just kind of shifted the rules of reality slightly. I was trying to get it to true up internally. This included taking some of the hard sci-fi elements, such as a city called Zalem that hangs high in the air, throwing trash down onto the surface where the characters live, and reverse engineering the science. In the story, there are space elevators that connect Zalem to the Earth, says John Landau, Cameron's longtime producer. And Jim figured out that for them to work, it would need to be set on the equator. We don't have tensile material strong enough to make a space elevator yet, frowns Cameron ruefully. But when we do, someone will build them. Nearly 20 years passed, the director made Avatar. He revolutionized VFX technology. He went on an underseas adventure with Blackadder star Tony Robinson. Truly a cunning plan. And all the while he brainstormed Alita, waiting for the right time to direct it. I was being a dog in a manger, Cameron admits. I thought, doesn't matter if I'm 80 and I've got an oxygen tube up my nose and a walker. I'll do this movie. Yeah, that's one of my concerns about sequels. Since Cameron's, he's not young. He's got white hair all over. And if Alita sequel takes 10 years to make, then boy, I mean, even Rosa, she's like in her 30s now. But anyway, that's how we'll make a discussion about that later. But then he went to lunch with another friend, and everything changed. Robert Rodriguez and James Cameron had been mutual admirers for many years. Cameron was amazed by Rodriguez's gym routines. So he works out, okay. He does these insane monster workouts, like beyond CrossFit kind of things. Rodriguez, for his part, got overexcited by the sophistication of Cameron's DIY video conferencing kit. Unbelievable! You could zoom in and out. Oh, that's like one of the doohickeys that Cameron came up with, I guess. The two directors first met back in the early 90s, clicking as they swapped tales of their ultra low budget early films. In 95, Rodriguez screened Desperado for Cameron, sitting outside reading Cameron's scriptments for Spider Man and Avatar while his hero watched his movie. Wait, Cameron wrote a script for Spider Man? Anyway, over the following years, they came close to working together. In 97, mid Titanic, Cameron asked Rodriguez if he'd be up for directing a major franchise film to appease worried Fox executives. Titanic was going so over budget that it was like, hey, can you make this movie for me to get them off my ass? Rodriguez laughs. We talked about it for a while and then stopped talking about it. I got the feeling they said, the guy's so over budget, we don't even want that other movie. They even considered co-directing a Conan the Barbarian movie in 2003, using burgeoning performance capture tech to create a muscle-bound hero who would out Arnie. Come on, you can't CGI muscle and come on, man, this is balls. Anyway, it was going to look like a Frank Frazetta painting, says Rodriguez. But the technology wasn't there yet. I ended up doing Sin City instead, and good for him. Sin City was awesome. Fast forward to the summer of 15. Cameron and Rodriguez meet up for a meal at Lightstorm, the former's LA HQ. They shoot the shit. They pursue artwork for the Avatar sequels, and then outside in the parking lot, sitting in his car, but with the door yet to swung shut. Rodriguez asked if Cameron is working on anything. It turns out to be a fateful question, because just as Del Toro passed Battle Angel Alita on to Cameron, so Cameron, in a spark of inspiration, decided to pass Battle Angel Alita on to Rodriguez. It suddenly dawned on me that I was going to be working on the Avatar movies for another 8 years. And this was 2015, so Cameron's gonna be busy with Avatar until 2023, according to this quote right here. Okay. He says, somebody should make Battle Angel. And who better than Robert? So I sent him a mountain of stuff. Cameron isn't kidding. Over the years, he had typed up over 1,000 pages of notes on the project, plus several script drafts he had noodled at with co-writer Alita Battle. Sorry for butchering your name. One of them was a sprawling tale of insurrection. Alita brings down an empire, very much in the Star Wars mode. Okay, so this kind of confirms the whole modern Star Wars thing that Gen X talks about. Gen X Strikes Back is a channel that talks about Alita, but he used to be or he might still be, but not as much anymore, I assume. He used to be a big Star Wars fan, and he even compares Alita to be the modern day Star Wars. So I guess, yeah, right there, that quote kind of puts that in context right now. But in the end, he sent Rodriguez what he thought of as the romantic draft. It's the one that tugged on my heartstrings the most, Cameron says. The kind of Romeo and Juliet script, which I written back in 2004 and discarded. It was unwieldy, about 180 pages long. But I thought it captured the spirit of the anime, the kind of bittersweet aesthetic the best. Rodriguez was blown away, but when he sat down to read it, it wasn't a jumbled mess, he recalls. It was just long, and he never had a chance to cut it down. The story was fantastic, And I could really identify with Alita as he goes from being dumped. Oh, sorry. As she goes from being dumped in the trash to becoming someone who could go change the world. I was hooked. As the sun went down, he sent Cameron an email referencing the bounty hunters in the story who turn in cyborg heads for credits. The email read, "How many heads do I have to collect to work on this thing?" Cameron's reply came an hour later. "You've collected enough heads. Call me tomorrow." Up until then, Rodriguez had made moderately budgeted movies, usually writing, shooting, and cutting them himself. Wow. Okay, there are memes about Rodriguez making the chocolate that Alita ate and building the sets and Hugo's motorcycle. So I guess that's where the meme comes from. Okay. Now suddenly he was heading up one of the biggest and most ambitious movie ever made, backed up by Hollywood's most successful filmmaker. Even though I've known Jim a long time, this was now at a different level, he says, still giddy. That's not, let's go get a pizza together. It's, let's make a project together. It was really cool. When Empire visits the Alita Battle Angel set in January 2017, we find a Robert Rodriguez movie that's not exactly a Robert Rodriguez movie. Yes, he's on his home turf, Troublemaker Studios in Austin, Texas, where he shoot everything from Sin City to Grindhouse. Yes, he's in a director's chair, thumbing through script pages, and yes, the Iron City set that sprawls across one of the sound stages, bright and sun-drenched, brings to mind the settings of his mariachi movies. But this time he's not personally overseeing the cinematography. That would be the Matrix veteran Bill Pope, or the editing. That would be Avatar veteran Stephen E. Rifkin. And he's the first to admit that with this project he's doing something akin to karaoke. I don't want to see another Robert Rodriguez movie, he smiles. I want to see another James Cameron movie. There's a dearth of those. So like an actor gets into character, I'm getting into character as him. Jim Cameron movies traditionally share one quality. Each is a high wire walk, pushing the art of filmmaking forward in risky fashion. Alita Battle Angel is no exception. It's rolling the dice on whether audiences would become emotionally invested in a lead character who looks human. But it's actually computer generated, brought to life by performance capture. This aims to be the blockbuster that finally crosses the uncanny valley into the realms beyond. We could only make this movie now, Rodriguez says. With Avatar and Planet of the Apes, those were aliens and apes. They still really hadn't done a human. So it wasn't like they had tools already. They had to build them for this. For Rosa Salazar, the actor cast as Alita, it's been a strange and mind-blowing experience. Not only does she get to play two physically different versions of the character, at a key point in the story, the cyborg upgrades to a berserker body, but she has had her face studied in more detail than probably any human in history. The visual effects guys know the muscles underneath my skin and how they behave, she marvels. At one point, Richie from Weta ran up to me with his laptop, looking frazzled, and said, "You're moving your left eye up and the right corner of your mouth is moving in tandem. I don't understand why. When my face doesn't behave, it crashes the software." Okay. Yeah, that's kind of creepy when a guy just run up to you talk about your face like that. Anyway, on set, Salazar is clad in a gray bodysuit and helmet, a titanium rod gathering minute data on her facial movements. On screen, It will be both her and not her, an eerie blend of reality and fantasy. In one scene, real tears will trickle down a CG face. Oh god, the tears are real? What? Punctuated by two oversized eyes. Those eyes, you just get lost in them, says Kian Johnson, who plays Hugo, a cyborg hating human who finds himself falling for. Okay, I don't really think Hugo hates cyborgs like Tanji does, right? But I think Hugo just, jacks cyborg parts for the money. I don't think he hates them. Anyway, she has such a wholesome, beautiful, strong presence about her. I think he's talking about Alita, not Rosa. In a project with many bold design flourishes, not least a whopping great city in the sky, these eyes are the boldest. The thing that will get everyone talking. Salazar, for one, loves it. I never, ever, ever, ever want to do a project where people look at the trailer and go, "Oh yeah, I get it," and then move on to the next one, she said. I want to do things that make people go, "Holy shit! We wanted to be faithful to the manga." To make her as Alita as possible. And there's a reason in the story for that. Cameron in the past has put off tales of the unlikeliest star-crossed lovers, a broke artist and a high society lady, a human marine and a blue alien, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis. Alita Battle Angel pushes things even further. Prepare for a romance between a woman who is almost entirely machine and a man who collects machine parts for a living. If it sounds like an out there premise, then shooting it was often equally as surreal. There's a scene where we're on a bridge in the rain, and I'm putting my hands through her hair, says Johnson. Actually, I was putting my hands through string. What? Oh, okay. They stuck 11 or 12 pieces to the side of her helmet with Velcro. It's reassuring to know that even in state-of-the-art mega-budget filmmaking, some problems can still be solved with string. Cameron and Rodriguez may have gone with the romance draft, but no one will be able to accuse the movie of being short of action. Set 700 years from now, its world is one in which... Wait, 700 years? I think it's 500 years. Okay. Its world is one in which humans can cybernetically upgrade themselves, bolting on metal limbs and turning themselves into fearsome fighting machines. Cue some truly outlandish creations, some of which are essentially a human brain attached to a mass of whirling weaponry. There's a sneery Zapan at screen, Cameron's favorite piece of design. We had the idea that these guys would treat their bodies like car culture in LA, he says. So we took that riff and designed this Latino cyborg with an Aztec calendar motif on his back. Robert added the little chrome dealio on his face. And there's Grishka, a 9-foot-tall metal maniac played by the usually diminutive Jackie Earle Haley. He's got brute strength, but he's also empowered by these cyber doctors, explains Haley. One of his skills is that he's got these talon-like fingers that can shoot across the room, pierce just about anything and snap back just as fast. Even Christoph Waltz, who plays Alita's own cyber doctor / mentor, Ito, gets in on the action. The scene Empire watches him perform on set, scanning Alita's body in Ito's cheap jack medical bay, is a relatively quiet day. This is a visceral story, he grins. Literally, there are viscera torn out. Elsewhere, He will wield a rocket hammer. Yep, a hammer that's also a rocket. In his duties as a hunter warrior, tracking down rogue cyborgs. And he's present for one of the film's most ambitious set pieces, set in Iron City's sparse Kansas. It's a good old-fashioned brawl, except brought to life with cutting-edge tech and pitting Alita, who specializes in a form of cyborg martial arts called Panzerkunst, against roughly 40 mech-heavy killers. Our aim was to make the ultimate bar fight, explains Rodriguez, who has formed with human/machine hybrids, having given Rose McGowan a gun leg in Planet Terror. Before we shot it, I went to YouTube and looked up top 10 bar fights and found out several of the entries were from movies by me and Jim. T2, Desperado. We kind of do similar stuff, except that mine go into pure fantasy and his stay grounded. Jim would never have a guy pick up a guitar case and fire a missile that doesn't fly with him. Okay. Alita will also be tested with a insane sport called motorball, high velocity racing where souped up cyborgs attempt to mush each other into nuts and bolts. It's NASCAR racing meets MMA meets WWF on steroids, hypes John Landau. It gets pretty crazy, you know. My Dinner with Andre Part 2. For Rodriguez, reading the motorball sequence that evening back in 2015 was the moment that convinced him to make the movie. Jim has used the sport in a really cool and dramatic way, he says. Fuck! You're excited because the stakes are so high. Get you jumping out of your seat. If the director's excitement hasn't abated one bit, the same is true of Cameron himself, who made a single visit to the set for 2 hours in late 2016. There he gave a rousing speech, then headed straight to the props department, where he hoists aloft the manga's most iconic weapon, a supercharged sword known as the Damascus Blade, a big grin on his face. S. Green was gifted a blade on his final day. It was a nightmare getting it through British custom, the actor laughs. Oh, he got the steel display version, I think. Okay. But I have it in my office in East London now, and it's my pride and joy. Right next to my Deadpool katana. Cameron, on the other hand, is still waiting for his. I'm thinking my taillights were out of sight about the time they forgot about sending it. He mock grouches. 2 years after that happy day. But I'll remind him. If you're wondering what to get him for Christmas this year, now you know. Okay. Could Alita Battle Angel pull an Avatar and get 4 sequels? No one knows. Well, I mean, after the whole box office thing, it's. I mean, we want a sequel, but it's very hard to gauge on the possibility now. One thing's for sure, Cameron has plenty more story to tell. He refers to this as the first film, and he mentions, off the record, a few things to expect should there be a second. Let's just say that Zalem, which is only glimpsed from below in this movie, will play a far more significant role. There is a lot of story to explore with Alita 2, in terms of both her past and the future. She ends the movie in a literally different form to that with which she begins with, experiencing a cyborg's version of adolescence. Yeah, there's the whole makeup thing after she get her berserker body. Like, who taught her that? Anyway, whatever happens, here is history being made. CGI character or not, it's refreshing to have a giant tentpole blockbuster fronted solely by a female character. Even Avatar and Titanic were two handlers? Two-handers. I love this movie for my 7-year-old daughter, says Jennifer Connelly, who plays motorball impresario and Eo's ex-wife Sharon. I like that Alita is so powerful and flawed and has to wrestle with her wildness and the parts of her she feels don't fit. I love her being the central character of the story. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's what we fans feel like, right? There's the technological aspect, paving way for a whole new kind of interface between human performance and performance capture wizardry. It took me a few times to see it, to disassociate with her, because she's me, but she's also a brand new person, says Salazar. I'm finding that people love talking about Alita. People on other sets, random people in my street, my local barista. He loves the eyes, by the way. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing I've mentioned before in the group, is that Rosa and Alita is two different people, but you can't have Alita without Rosa, because Rosa provides the voice and personality, and and the CGI is just makeup. So yeah, okay. And then there's the fusion between two A-list directors, unprecedented on this level, blending Rodriguez's rock and roll swagger with Cameron's steely focus. During production, a sign went up at Lightstorm, reading "Troublemaker West." A short while later, another "Lightstorm South" was stuck to a wall at Troublemaker. It was a dream collaboration, says Cameron. I feed him a page in the morning, he run out and shoot it. Only on one single occasion did the two men fall out. Ooh. And it was exactly the kind of spat you hope for between the directors of Sin City and The Terminator. It was over the way a cyborg's face got sliced. We all know whose face got sliced off. Okay. Rodriguez struggled. I wanted to keep an eye and enough of his tongue so he could say a line. Jim wanted it all on the ground. Okay, I think we all know who won this fallout here. And I'm kind of glad that Rodriguez won this round. It's all in the details. Yep. If you watch movie, you know who got his face sliced off and who won the fallout. So I think that's it. Yep, that's the Alita coverage on this magazine right here. I'll leave a link on the in the description. If you want to buy it, check it out. I have more magazines to show in later videos, but for now, I'm done. I didn't drop anything. It's Big Boy Ken, Cringe King, signing out. Bye.